So, welcome. We're so glad to be together on this New Year's Eve day.
No, New Year's Eve. Yeah, New Year's Eve day. Right, right. It's not New Year's Day. Right? 31st.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to all the richness of in the 20s, 2024. Yeah, and sharing it with you. So we send all blessings and wishings for a wonderful, wonderful new year. What we're going to talk about today is habits. How do they occur? What causes them? What is the outcome when they do occur? We've all experienced it with cravings and doing things that we know aren't ideal for us.
Yeah, we've been talking for years about creating a healthy relationship with food. And our relationship with food is a lot like our relationship with anything else, the spouse, family, coworkers. Lots of times there are unhealthy habits that are kind of in that whole mix in our relationship, and it throws things off.
Yeah, what it really boils down to, your talk about relationships for me is our relationship with life.
Yeah. Everything. That's the big umbrella.
Yeah.
Everything in life is a relationship. And so we're talking about habits in the lower brain because this has really helped us to understand how it is that we can get so thrown off by a real strong craving. Basically, the way our brain works is that it tries to keep us alive through efficiency and habits. You know, there's something about efficiency that just drives us. And this is a function of the lower brain. It's like if I think about getting from here to Costco, I've got 1,000 different ways to go, but I almost always go the same way. Why is that? In
The
my mind,
quickest,
yeah, in my mind, it's the
most
quickest. It's
direct.
about efficiency.
Yeah.
So this efficiency drives so much of our life, which made sense when we were evolving. We needed to be efficient because we needed to conserve energy. I mean, there are a lot of reasons to really be efficient that kept us alive. And so now we create habits, that lower brain, which is all driven by survival and efficiency, creates a habit so that we can go into automatic, so that we can relate to life in a way that isn't having to spend a lot of energy figuring out the same thing over and over again, using the energy to think it through. And also, then, if we have a habit and it's kind of on automatic, then it frees up bandwidth for us to really be present with what's going on and deal with something that may be more immediate or more important. So there's a great value in this function our lower brain performs in creating habits around efficiency. Um, so where we get into trouble is that our lower brain in creating these habits isn't real intelligent. It's a lot more like a machine, you know, like a computer, like a computer app. So we drive to Costco and it's real efficient and it seems to be good. It starts to create that habit and it puts it on the automatic. But there may be a better option. It just doesn't see it and it's not automatic. And now we don't see anything. I mean, I remember when I used to work in LA and I drive the freeways every day, I'd get to work sometimes and I'd think, I don't even remember this whole section of the freeway. Where was I? But it's not like there was ever any danger of my not driving well. I was present enough to drive perfectly well and just was on automatic. So where we get into trouble is that our brain, in wanting to help us survive, creates these habits around certain activities. So one of the things that it works with is that we're born to thrive. Our brain knows that. So when we don't feel like we're thriving, when we're feeling uncomfortable, if we aren't feeling well, our brain goes, how can we get us feeling better?
Yes.
And so if at some point in life we ate some chocolate cookies and we noticed we felt better. It starts to connect that dot. So then when we're emotionally not feeling so good, maybe we think, well, maybe the cookie, our lower brain puts these two things together. I do a cookie and it's like, woo, it's kind of performed two functions. One is distracted me from whatever was my problem. I'm no longer thinking about it, I'm thinking about eating. And with food, it generates a little dopamine. So then it's making me feel better. So
and that's what the lower brain is always looking for.
Yeah.
It always wants us to feel our best.
Yeah.
It wants the very best for us.
Right. So when we create unhealthy habits, it doesn't mean our brain isn't working right. There's something wrong with us. It's just that the lower brain, well, it's kind of like the lower brain doesn't have the developed rational thinking. It's on automatic, it's survival, it's where fight or flight comes from. So if we rely on the lower brain, it's kind of like relying on a 6-year-old in the backseat of the car to tell us how to drive. It just doesn't have the capacity. It does some things well, but it isn't necessarily rational, so we can't rely on it. But we get into trouble because that lower brain, being designed to keep us alive, has this fight or flight function, which is really important. If a bus is coming down the street we didn't see and we suddenly see it, fight or flight, move. It's like danger. Act now, get out of the way. And we get out of the way.
Sure.
So, good function. Where we get into trouble is when we're not feeling comfortable about something my boss said to me at work. And I'm kind of upset and I don't know what I'm worrying. I don't know what it means. Maybe I'm going to lose my job. And the brain takes that to be similar to there's a bus just about to hit you. And it's not. But it feels like it to the brain. The brain doesn't see that, oh, I'll probably get through this. I always have. And even if I lose my job, life will live me, everything will work out. The brain sees it as a bus about to hit.
So it yells strongly, chocolate chip cookies.
Right. It's how do we feel better? How did we do this last time? So then, yeah, we start creating these unhealthy habits in our relationship with food. So the reason we want to share this with you is to kind of help us see that the voice within kind of has two sources. It comes from this lower brain, which is survival based, efficiency based, and more like a machine than a real rational interaction with life. And we have this higher brain, this our well-being, our intelligence, our common sense, our wisdom, that has us really aligned with the reality of life. It doesn't get caught in my boss raised his voice with me, therefore I'm going to lose my job, therefore I won't put food on the table, therefore I won't pay the rent, therefore I'm under the bridge, living out of a shopping. That's the survival brain, and it's supposed to work that way to keep us safe. But you see how in kind of these emotional, psychological realms, it can misinterpret a situation as though it's a real physical threat, throw us into fight or flight, and we have no connection to our rational mind.
Well, the good news is we don't have to listen to it. It can yell and scream and feel like my life is going to end if I don't eat the chocolate chip cookie.
That's so interesting, isn't it? I mean, it sometimes feels as though I'm going to die. This feeling is so strong. If I don't get rid of this feeling, I'm going to die. I mean, there's no rational. But that's the efficiency of this survival-based part of our brain. So there's a value for it. But in today's world, where we don't have that kind of physical threat facing us almost day in and day out, it's important to understand that when these urgent feelings come up, it may be this lower brain, and we don't need to listen to it. It may be the 6-year-old screaming.
Yeah, and in not listening to it, the magic is it goes away. So if I don't reach for the chocolate chip cookie and munch on it and just let that feeling move on by or that thought move on by in time, it stops feeling chocolate chip cookie.
And what's interesting, I don't have kids, so I don't know if this is true, but I've heard this and it makes sense to me. If you've got a child in the back seat, yeah, trying to get your attention, yeah, trying to get your attention, and you don't give them your attention after a while, they just find something else to do. And I think that's why our eating with presence exercise, Connie is often saying, if that urge comes up, just pause, just take a moment instead of just jumping on, oh my gosh, the 6-year-old's telling me to turn right. I've got to turn right now, or who knows what. If we pause, or if we eat with presence, it takes us out of that fight or flight, that survival mode. We get present. And in that presence, we have access to this rational mind. And so we can start to unwind the old habit that was associating food with helping me feel better emotionally.
Well, with survival often too. Yeah, it's just not a true connection. So the feeling or eating with presence exercise is really simple. If you're going to eat something and you know it isn't ideal, then just put all your awareness in your mouth and take your first bite and chew until it's fully liquid and smell it and feel it and taste it. Use all your senses. And then the most important thing is when you swallow it, notice how your body receives it. Is your body jumping up and down with joy over what you just swallowed, or is it sending you another message? And when we eat with presence, we're not caught in a habit. So we can have other insight as well.
And I would just add one thing, at least in my experience, when I eat with presence and I swallow and I see how my body received it, I will reflect back too, 5, 10, 15 minutes later. How does my body feel now? Because now it's really starting to have the impact on my body in terms of its, coming into the bloodstream and that. So the value of that is then our minds start having a broader range of data, you might say, a broader range of experience of that food. So it's not just, oh, we eat this food and we feel better. We eat this food and, there is a distraction from what I was feeling, but I don't feel so good afterwards. And so it starts breaking down that old immediate impulse that this is the answer, this is where it is. It's like, oh yeah, but I don't feel good after I eat it. And that can start bringing us into the presence and away from that spin. I've got to listen to that backseat driver or else.
Yeah, and so in summary, what I would say is if you're caught in a habit, just take a minute before you reach for the chocolate chip cookie or whatever it is and get quiet. Just relax and see what's next for you. Don't just follow that backseat driver that's yelling, eat the cookie, and see what's possible. What else can happen in this life? What else can I favor that might really be to my benefit?
Really nourishing me instead of just distracting me and trying to create a feel good.
Yeah.
And like Connie said at the beginning, this is a relationship with life. So we relate it to food a lot. That's our focus. But it relates to, reaching for something to drink, going out to buy something, working, there are all kinds of habits that we and different people develop that's all based on the same function of the lower mind, associating a certain substance or behavior with feeling better. So when we're feeling a little stressed or tense or something, it brings up that association. It says, let's just work another out. let's just go buy that new pair of shoes. But, because just in thinking about that, they talk about an alcoholic, even before he gets to the bar, he's feeling better, just thinking about it. So we want to recognize what's really driving these urges and these habits so that when they come up, we don't take them quite so personally, that this really is about who I am. I'm this out of control food addict. It's not who we are. It's a function of our lower brain, and it's our lower brain functioning the way it's designed to. There's nothing wrong with us. But we want to really come out of that by seeing that the threat the lower brain is perceiving is not a real threat, at least not the way it's perceiving it. We may need to deal with it. We may need to deal with our job or an abusive relationship or whatever is creating the pressure, but it isn't a bus about to hit us.
Very good. Yeah, I like this. Now, recipe. It's your recipe. We're going to have what kind of pancake?
Banana blueberry pancakes. So, yeah, every now and then I like to go back to the old comfort foods, right? And to justify that, I want to get as much whole foods in it as possible. So it was so neat. We did this with the community call yesterday, and I had all the ingredients out there, and they were all whole foods. I had sunflower seeds and flax seeds and whole dates and banana and whole apple. And I mean, everything was whole except for 2 cups of flour. I was using a garbanzo bean flour that I made myself, just dried chickpeas in a Vitamix for 60 seconds, and I've got the flour. So it was so whole food as opposed to, I was thinking about my mother's pancake mix, Aunt Jemima's pancakes. You look in this box, it's just all white flour. It's like, whoa. And she put some milk in and she put maybe an egg in and I don't know, some butter or something. I mean, you know, this is a whole food pancake. And I thought about that name, pancake. It really does taste cakey. We make it kind of thick, like 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch thick.
Yeah, it was so
And
good.
it's like a pancake.
And that garbanzo bean flour that you made in the moment was just divine.
Yeah.
I was telling Bill, I feel like I've eaten something that's really health giving. When I finish eating it, I feel great and like I've been nourished.
Yeah.
Not like I've been stressed.
Not like I used to feel coming out of the International House of Pancakes. Ooh, that was fun. Kind of crash after that. Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for joining us. Have a happy new year. Wishing you all best. See you in the new year.
Happy New Year.